Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Singh, you claim you're working for the fairness of people and Canadians, and you're here today to claim that you're standing up for competition. After your agreement with the Liberal government that's now been over 2.5 years, there's been 3 mergers that have gone through. RBC purchased HSBC, Canada's #1 bank, buying #7 bank. Rogers bought Shaw, and WestJet bought Sunwing. And this has been detrimental to Canadians. Canadians are hurting right now. Why did you not stand up for Canadians and say no to these mergers?
That's not all the case. We did absolutely say no to those mergers. We said it was wrong at the time. And not just saying that it's wrong, now I'm putting forward a bill that would prevent those things from happening. We actually put forward the amendments in the other bills that I noted to make it harder for these type of mergers to happen. We've been very vocal opposing mergers that hurt Canadians. I've asked questions in Parliament on these very matters. And we are now I'm putting forward a bill in my name that specifically would ban mergers that make up more than 60% of market share.
So, Mr.
And in
Singh,
addition, we've put amendments that make it harder for mergers that are 30% and above.
So, Mr. Singh, you do have an agreement with the government. So at any time you could have ended that agreement. You could have included this as a stipulation in the agreement. And I think at the end of the day, we look at these agreements as useless because in not standing up for Canadians, these corporations have actually gotten bigger. When we look at HSBC and RBC buying HSBC, even in Vancouver, where you reside, HSBC had 10% of the book for mortgages. After that merger, interest rates went up almost 1%. More importantly, profits went up. Can you tell me, Mr. Singh, in this last quarter ending March 31st, what was the increase of RBC's profit versus the last quarter of December 2023? Just a number.
We are absolutely opposed to the type of mergers, and that's why we're putting forward a bill to do exactly that. So if the Conservatives are in support of these type of changes, I would invite them to support my bill, which would ban outright any merger that increases the market share beyond 60%. Support the bill. The bill is about ending these type of mergers, stopping mergers that hurt Canadians.
So, Mr. Singh,
for a long time, Conservatives and Liberals have ignored this problem.
The number is $1 billion. That's how much more profit RBC made in the first quarter of 2024 versus the last quarter of 2023. HSBC only made $300 million in that last quarter. So you can see what happens when mergers go through. Not standing up for Canadians means that Canadians are hurting. When we look at cell phone bills, and you've mentioned cell phone bills, Canadians do pay the highest cell phone bills in the world, and yet you stood up again and didn't say no to the Rogers-Shaw merger.
That's not true.
And at the end of the day, you could have ended this merger. You could have stood up to the government and said, this is our red line. We're not going to do this. And what's happened since then is that Rogers and Shaw both benefited. But maybe you can tell me, Mr. Singh, how much more, and I'm going to start with this. The Prime Minister that you support said in the House of Commons that cell phone bills went down by half. He said that. He said cell phone bills are down by half. So I'm going to ask you just a simple question. How much more in the year ending, March 31st, 2023, did Rogers make, and this is wireless revenue per user, than the year prior? Just the number.
We firmly oppose the Rogers-Shaw merger. I asked questions in question period directly to the ministers and to the government. I've been on the record. I don't know if the member ever asked a question on this ever. I've asked questions on this directly to the Prime Minister, said it's wrong. And I'm putting forward a bill that we're discussing right now that would protect consumers against these type of mergers. I'm literally addressing this matter in a law that we are talking about right now.
And Mr.
So
Singh,
if the Conservatives are interested in, which is news to me, protecting consumers, then they could support my bill, which would ban mergers that increase market share beyond 60%.
And Mr. Singh,
I oppose mergers that hurt Canadians.
Singh, you're talking
and we've got bills right now, a bill in front of this committee that would exactly do that, protect consumers against mergers. And Mr. Singh,
you're talking to the competition critic, the shadow minister for the Conservative Party, because our leader decided competition was that important to put someone in this position. And when we talk about where you could have been, you're actually in another position. You could have stopped the government from approving these 3 mergers which have hurt Canadians. We say, it's a walking contradiction. You're standing up for these corporations who have only got bigger since you've been in power, and consumers have lost less power. We're not seeing the prices come down. We're not seeing competition in, and you presented a bill, and we presented lots of changes. Even you and I had the both efficiency defense change that this government stole from us that was there, but you're not standing for Canadians, and Canadians feel that you've sold them out. They feel
That's
that
not at all
you're
the
not
case.
standing up to the corporations. They feel that they're not going to do it.
that's
So
not at all the
people
case,
only
sir.
trust, they only trust actions match word. Mr. Singh, the other push that we're pushing for in Canada is open banking. If we want to talk about taking a chunk out of the banks in Canada, open banking would do that. In the UK, when open banking was implemented, it saved the average person in the UK $400 a year. There's no transactional fees, no monthly fees, no overdraft fees with open banking, and it's only with 14% market share. And this government has 6 years to bring legislation to this government. They picked a regulator and only gave them a pittance, $1 million, to get the regulations in. This regulator, FCAC, was just in front of a Senate committee. Do you know how many of the 27,000 complaints that they answered since 2019? Can you just tell me the number?
So it's interesting. I mean, I'm literally saying to the member that we are opposed to large corporations ripping off Canadians. I have opposed the mergers. The member knows that very well, knows that I've stood up and opposed it. I don't know if the member himself has ever asked a question on this in question period, but I have. And I can say further that I noticed that the member has not asked a single question about the corporate greed in grocery stores. Is it because that your leader has been a receiver of the max donation from the CEO of Metros? Is it because the corporate or the conservative strategist for the party is a lobbyist for Loblaws? Maybe that's why they're not willing to talk about corporate food in corporate grocery stores, but I am. I'm ready to take them on. I'm ready to take on all corporations when it comes to ripping off Canadians.
Thank you, Mr. Singh and Mr.